Welcome back. I'm Mary Claire, and welcome to Peak, the official Growth Sport podcast. Brian, you're back.
I'm back. Good to
Woo!
be here.
We're going to start a new series today.
Fantastic.
We are going to chat about, over a series of conversations, we're going to chat about the new Growth Sport book written by Dr. Brian Ritchie called The Culture Code. I have it right here, conveniently.
Yeah, awesome.
Recently launched. This is, Brian, I'm going to put it in my own words, a culmination of 2 decades of work related to the model that have come together in a lovely, fancy new book, kind of diving deep into the model with, of course, a number of stories along the way, given the number of clients you work with. So excited to kick off a new series. Today, we're going to start with just a conversation on why you wrote it and how to use it. So, Brian, like I said, this was 2 years or 2 decades, of work put into a lovely book. So what prompted writing the book now? Why now?
You know, it's interesting. If you look out at business books, and there are a ton of them, you usually get why the principles are important. You know, they talk about the reason that you should do it. And what I realized was there wasn't really a source out there that would tell you how to do it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, let's agree that these principles matter and that they work. And then let's decide, how would we actually do it? What would a methodology or a system or a process to actually connect our strategic intent to our daily activities? How would I do it? And I couldn't find that book. So I decided that we should write it.
So this is the how-to.
Yeah, really, it is.
Well, and we often talk about, and you've taught me this, and when I reflect back on my career, it's true that change without process really doesn't happen. Or a methodology without a tool without a process. Talk to us a little bit about that, because this how-to is really critical.
Yeah. So the book goes into the principles and, you know, which principles matter. But I've often said this, you can find those principles at the heart of almost every good process. But what I'll always say to leadership is that you can get as motivated as you want to do change leadership. But none of that happens without a process to actually implement, to actually do the work.
Yeah.
And so if you get all excited about how you could change your organization, but at the end of the day, don't have a process to make that happen, you'll just slip right back into your whirlwind and into your day-to-day activities, and nothing will change.
I would also argue that sometimes people think just having the conversations and making the decisions is the process, when in fact it's what happens after you leave that room.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, so let's talk about we're actually getting back to one of our last conversations from a game review process, but talk to us about what we mean by process too.
Yeah. So, you know, if you think, and I love that you brought it back to accountability as one of the big areas. And, you know, we have 3 big areas that we focus on, which, by the way, are buzzwords and that people are sick of hearing because they are principles that everybody talks about. But what we don't talk about is actually how to do them. But it's really alignment, engagement, and accountability. Those are the 3 things. Now, if we stop right there, if I get into a room with you as a CEO and I say, hey, Mary Claire, you need to get your organization aligned, engaged, and accountable. And you're going to be like, yep, I do. And then we're going to leave. And then what? How do you actually do that? Because it's so hard actually to get an organization to get aligned. What does it mean to be aligned? How do you actually get them aligned? When you talk about being engaged, what does that mean? How do you get them engaged? What steps do you take in order to do that? That's what I mean by process. It's like, if I say to you, go align your organization, I mean, like, all right, first do this, then do this, then do this, then do this. Then you'll be aligned. All right, let's get engaged. Okay, great. First do this, then do this, then do this, then you'll be engaged. Let's be accountable. Great. Let's do this and this. And by the way, you can see how this is so hard for executives to do, because if you say, hey, go be engaged. Okay, what are you going to do? Like,
or go get your team engaged.
Right? Like,
you're
going to show up to the leaders of your team and be like, work hard, be excited, be engaged, right? That doesn't work. That doesn't, they'd look at you so weird. They'd be like, really? You showed up and told me to work hard? Same thing with being accountable. In fact, we're so bad at it that oftentimes we're like, all right, how about once or twice a year we sit down for 30 minutes and say, how did it go? Well, that's going to be effective. Not, you know, I mean, we just don't really think about this in a process kind of way. Like, what would we do every day if we were
Yeah.
holding each other accountable? What would we
Yeah.
do every day if we were engaged? What would we do every day if we were going to be aligned and we were going to actually work together on important projects and outcomes that if we didn't spend some time on, just wouldn't happen? So it's those kinds of things that I've been really trying to think about.
Yeah, and I think you just nailed the key point. This daily element of this and this weekly element to it, not just the monthly, the quarterly, or the annual. So, okay, I'm a CEO, or I'm the head of a division, or I'm the head of a team. We've worked with a safety team before, the leader of a safety team. Tell me, I read the book.
Yeah.
Then what? What do I do?
Yeah.
I can get the book correctly oriented.
Well, I'll tell you that if you read the book, you'll realize very quickly that it's a very different kind of book. And first of all, you're going to have all the examples. I think it's a quick read. It's an easy read. There are a lot of examples in there that will make it fun, but there's actually the step-by-step tasks to implement that you can go through. So as you go through this and say, all right, I want to align my organization, these are the steps you have to take. Now, you might get into those steps and realize that, wow, these are not easy to do. And that's true. And you might say, well, I need some help. Let's go out to the YouTube site and watch the DIY videos, or, let's have a conversation with Mary Claire or Brian in person to get more, insight into this. But we're trying to provide all the tools and all the ways by which an organization can actually implement this process and change the very culture of the organization by doing that process, and how they actually approach these challenges for their organization in order to accomplish them.
So what I love about, I think what's evolving here is we've got the book now that folks can read. And that's usually a catalyst for me at least, it's always a catalyst to start thinking differently.
Right.
And then I figure out, okay, so what am I going to do about it? And then I'm going to put words in your mouth, or kind of reorient what you just said. We've got basically a class, if you will, a free class on our website, and there's just a series of YouTube videos going through the SPORT acronym, and then diving a little deeper on the how-tos, if you will, step 1, step 2, step 3. And then from that, we also have the Girl Sport app to run those weekly game review meetings.
Right.
So in terms of really trying to equip somebody without ever having to talk to us, you buy a book and you look at some videos and you jump on the app. Again, just that equip. I think we're trying to get people equipped to get aligned, to get engaged, and become accountable with that.
Yeah, exactly. The knowledge, the tools, the mechanisms by which you can do this, and even creating communities around this that people can talk about it and help each other through those processes. Because leadership and process isn't easy. If it was, we wouldn't have written thousands of books about it. And, there would be thousands of consultants, tens of thousands of consultants out there trying to help people get it done. It says easy, we understand it, but it does super hard. And it's something that requires real attention and real work.
Yeah, well said. Well, we'll wrap this up. We're going to come back and then dive into each chapter, and again, create another resource for people to really understand what's my next step, or the how-to behind the model and getting your team engaged, accountable, and aligned. So thanks, Brian.
Fantastic. You bet.
For all of you, for all of our listeners out there, if you enjoyed this podcast, please like and follow us on Spotify, and we look forward to talking to you next time. Thank you.